Good morning. This is Elder Tracy Carr with Kingdom Money Wednesdays and being a Christian entrepreneur. Today I want to talk about being a good steward. Being a good steward over those things that God has given us. In the day and the time and the season that we're living in, we don't know what's going to happen with the economy from one day to the next. So we want to make sure that we're being wise with our spending, being wise with those things God has given us. So I just want to talk real quickly about being a good steward. Amen. What is stewardship? Stewardship is taking care of the things we've been given. As Christians, being a good steward means taking care of our resources, like our money, our time, in ways that honor God and serves God. Amen. So we just want to make sure whatever it is God has given us, that we're honoring Him with it, and we are being a good steward of it. And so one of the things that's key into being a good steward is making sure that we're managing our resources wisely. Amen. We want to make sure that we're not going out in this season buying extravagant houses and cars and just doing stuff that's just not wise right now, because it's so much going on in the world. It's so many things, people losing jobs, and with the current administration, we don't know what's gonna happen. So we want to make sure that we do everything wisely. Amen. In essence, just make sure that every gift that God has blessed and given you, that we take care of it wisely. That's anywhere from budgeting. We want to make sure we budget correctly. We want to make sure we don't create excess debt. We want to make sure that we save for the future, and we want to make sure that we continue to give. Amen. Because one thing about it, if you are a tither, if you are someone who gives an offering, yes, we should give our 10%. We should give our offering. We should give back. Amen. But if you're not stewarding the money that God has given you correctly with that other 90%, you're still going to reap the consequences of that. Amen. So don't let, just because you're tithing and giving an offering, think that that's a golden ticket. You have to steward that other 90% well. You can't just go out and blow it and then just think that God's going to pay all your bills. You know what I mean? So that's just some common things that we want to make sure that we do. So we want to make sure that, number one, that we budget correctly, budget our income, budget our expenses, create a budget. Amen. Avoid debt, unnecessary debt. Because that we know unnecessary debt for things that we want versus things that we need, that can cause tribulation and in our finances. We want to make sure that we're saving for the future. We want to make sure that those of us who work, that we have some type of retirement plan. We want to make sure that we're putting things away in our savings. My grandmother used to always say, have a nest egg. So we want to make sure that we're doing those things. We again, make sure that we have purposeful spending. We don't want to be squandering our money. We don't want to become, as Proverbs talk about, a slave to the lender. Amen. And so I also want to talk about, I want to liken it to the parable of the talents. That's in Matthew. Let me pull it up here. Matthew 25, 14 through 30. And that's the parable of the talents. And I'm just going to paraphrase it. It talks about how the master had given talents to different ones, 5 to one, 2 to another, and 1 to another. And how the one with the 5 and the 2, they actually doubled what was given to them, and the one with the 1 actually buried it. And so when the master came back and talked to the 2 that doubled their talents, he said, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful and trustworthy over a little. I will put you in charge of many things. Share in the joy of your master. So they got blessed because they put what God gave them and they stewarded over it well, and they reaped a profit out of it. So he said, well done. Now the one that buried his talent, he said, but his master answered him, you wicked, lazy servant. You knew that I reap the harvest where I did not sow, and gather where I did not scatter seed. Then you ought to have put my money with the bankers, and at my return I would have received my money back with interest. So take the talent away from him and give it to the one who has the 10 talents. So you see how he didn't even try to do anything. He was lazy. He was selfish. He didn't plan. So what he did have was taken from him. Amen. So 29 says, I'm reading the Amplified version. Matthew 25:29 says, for to everyone who has and values his blessing and gifts from God and has used them wisely, more will be given, and he will be richly supplied, so that he will have an abundance. But from the one who does not have, because he has ignored or disregarded his blessing and gifts from God, even what he does have will be taken away. Isn't that something? So let us be good stewards over that which God has given us. Amen. This is Elder Tracy Carr. Have a blessed day.